What's going on? It's SFT, and we're talking about the 49ers today. The 49ers have had an extremely disappointing season. 5-5 coming off a really tough loss, 20-17 to the Seahawks at home with the last minute Geno Smith run touchdown. And this season has just been an up and down season for the 49ers. This offense has been extremely disappointing. They are a 15-20 ranked offense and they're just poorly coached. I don't care what anybody tells me. They are a poorly coached football team. They struggle in the red zone. They consistently look for field goals whenever they make their field goal kicks. Yes, I understand. They missed some field goal kicks against the Buccaneers. Yes, their kicker was injured against the Cardinals. However, this week dropping 17 points against the Seahawks at home is simply unacceptable. That is not acceptable. I don't care that George Kittle was injured. And if you look at their schedule coming up, you're playing against the Packers, you're playing against the Bills, and then you're playing against the Bears, and then you're playing against the Rams, the Dolphins, the Lions, the Cardinals. You're going against some good defenses. They are definitely not going to win their division, and they're not making the playoffs. They're just not good enough. Poorly coached offensively, and it would be a lie to say that, oh, they've dealt with a lot of injuries, because injuries are not an excuse to score 17 points, to score 23 points, and their defense is getting them stops, interceptions, fumbles, and they're still coming up short in the end zone. They still go to the red zone and get field goals out of it rather than getting 6. Brock Purdy is projected to make $325 million over 5 years with a $65 million per year. Before the start of each season, they're going to give him a chunk of that money to get it off the cap space. However, that's still going to be a huge hit on your cap. You look at some of your stars offensively. Deebo Samuels has greatly regressed. Brandon Ayuk has torn his ACL and he might not be the same guy coming back. Christian McCaffrey over the last couple of games has not looked like the same guy. I don't know why Jordan Mason's not still getting the same touches or still being seen as RB1. Until Christian McCaffrey can pick up the load he needs to be picking up. I have not been impressed with Kyle Shanahan. His ability to coach this offense has been extremely disappointing. And if you look at the future for the 49ers, this is not time to move on from a guy like Kyle Shanahan. Consistently giving guys big contracts, keeping guys rather than letting guys go, developing younger players and allowing them on those rookie contracts to take those roles so it's a lot easier on the team, which is not something that fits for a guy like Kyle Shanahan who has his favorites, who gets really comfortable with certain players. You have to ask yourself, this 49ers front office has to ask themselves, did we reach the limits with a guy like Kyle Shanahan? Are we going to get any further with a guy like Kyle Shanahan? In my eyes, you're not going to get any further with him. He's taken this team as far as he can take this team. You look at their losses this season, how inept they look on offense. This used to be a division that they absolutely run. They always beat up on the Seahawks. They beat up on the Cardinals. They beat up on the Rams. Teams like the Cardinals haven't beaten them since 2021. This has been a division that they have dominated, no different than the Bills have dominated the AFC East or the Chiefs have dominated the AFC West. When you start to lose games in your division and you start to lose in the manner that they have lost, giving up huge leads. They're one of the worst last minute defenses in the NFL. They give up the most points. They are a poorly coached football team. I personally think that they haven't went the farthest they can with him. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better, especially with this Brock Purdy contract coming up. Brock Purdy has been fortunate enough to have a coach like Kyle Shanahan for this period of time and to play with guys like Deebo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, absolute studs. But you have to ask yourself, when he gets that contract and you're not able to afford those same studs and rookies are going to have to be trusted, put into that lineup and developed, can he step up his overall performance? And I'm not talking about stepping up your performance against a team like the Rams early on in the season or the Cardinals early on in the season. Teams really did not have it together. I'm talking about stepping up your performance against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, against a team like the Buffalo Bills, when you don't have those same weapons. You learn a lot more from a quarterback and a coach when they don't have those star players. Star players make elite level play, and those elite plays mask the underlying issues a quarterback or a play caller has. I want to see how a guy like Brock Purdy looks with younger rookies, guys who potentially aren't getting to their spot fast enough. And we already know how Kyle Shanahan feels about rookies. They have to stay in the system for a long period of time, and then they get an opportunity, no different than Brandon Ayuk, no different than Deebo Samuels. They have to wait to get that opportunity. They have to wait to get that opportunity, unless it's a guy like George Kittle on a year where the 49ers are absolutely terrible. To me, they need to move on from Kyle Shanahan at the end of the season, go look for a defensive head coach, and go bring in an offensive coordinator and can reinforce this offensive line, can run the football, get rid of some of those receiver contracts. I don't know what they're going to do with Brandon Ayuk, but the contract just looks worse more and more. They need to find a way to either get rid of Deebo Samuels, cut down on George Kittle, ease up the cap space to prepare for Brock Purdy, and to upgrade this offensive line. They have played very good, but Trent Williams is 36 years old. You're only going to have so long with him potentially potentially maybe 1 to 2 more years. You need to be proactive when it comes to that franchise left tackle that's going to be the next one up. That's all I gotta say. Kyle Shanahan needs to be gone at the end of the season. You do not need to rebuild this football team. You need to renovate this football team. Thankfully, you have another year to worry about his contract. You can franchise tag him in 2026. If you're not happy with his performance, you still have a really good time to make a decision on Brock Purdy and how he looks in a non-Kyle Shanahan offense. And not just that, if he can step up his performance when guys like George Kittle are out, when guys like Deebo Samuels are out. Because what makes quarterbacks great isn't that guys are injured or guys are out. It's that they're able to make do with what is already there. That's all I had to say for this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like the video. Peace.